Hi, it's Dr. Mick Murphy here from Australia, osteopath, naturopath, and superconscious mindset coach. The video you're about to watch is a recorded live session filmed in our Mindset Masterclass, which is a super powerful coaching program that teaches people how to design and create a life they love. You're going to hear me refer to people in the class, and obviously you're not able to chat to me during this recording. Look, I hope you enjoyed this session and get some value from it. And please do subscribe, like, and share it if you think it's valuable information for others. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. All right, it's a very feminine part of us, and it acts on whatever it's given. And it learns and develops patterns, and therefore, right, which is really great that it learns and develops patterns because it means it can be changed, right? But it wants to automate patterns, right? And it's hardwired into our neurochemistry, and it looks for what feels safe and similar to what it has already experienced, right? All it wants to do is take the past and put it on the future. And, it kind of sucks because from 0 to 7, we've got no choice, right, in what we program and code up into the unconscious from our environment. So unconsciously looking for familiarity, we don't get it, right? We send signals to create things and situations, feelings and actions to feed literally the addiction, right? And it's not attacking us. The unconscious is never attacking us. It's never against us, right? It's just running a program. But the great news is we can change the programming, and we do that real quickly with the superconscious recode. Now, your superconscious is a field of information. Right, we're actually designing ourselves from this field of information, otherwise known as the unifying field. And you can give different instructions to the unconscious to remove resistance, right? And the superconscious holds information about intuition and genius, right? So all the general instructions, life force, innate intelligence that teaches your DNA to become you. Right, and it's from 7 generations back, and it's a memory that's essentially through time and space. It also has a future memory too, right? It's me, it's you, it's everyone else. Okay, there's no thought or feelings in the superconscious, just information, and it doesn't care how you use the info. Right, you can change it, right? You can allow yourself to access a small amount to enjoy your whole lifetime. You can change the info and the instructions by connecting to it or allowing me, all right, to connect to it and do it for you. And then you can make different choices. You kind of imagine that, when we're upgrading, say the superconscious is really like the pirate ship, right? If you imagine it like a boat, like a ship, and the superconscious is the ship. The unconscious is the crew, and the self-conscious is the captain. Now, if you're the captain, right, your thinking brain, your self-conscious, your ego's there, and you're going to the crew, the unconscious, I want to do this, and the unconscious is there, and they're like, well, we do it this way, and they're not following the instructions, right? What we can do is we can upgrade the superconscious, right, and maybe turn the pirate ship into a speedboat as an example. And then the crew has to upgrade. So the unconscious has to upgrade, right? It has to upgrade because the superconscious has changed. And so the captain can give a whole new set of instructions. So the unconscious crew can then guide and run the new speedboat. And it's I really like using that metaphor. Anyway, look, I thought I would just give a little review about those 3 before I get into the nature of reality. And I think it's just important that we understand, what we're doing in terms of removing blocks and things like that. But I wanted to ask you a question, right? How do you know what you know, right? How do you know what you know? See, even when we're cognizant of a commonly accepted fact, like say the sky is blue, we know what we know, but we don't know by what process or mechanism we know it, right? Why is something good or bad, or wrong or right, acceptable or unacceptable? See, our minds are processing about 400 billion bits of information every second. And we're only self-consciously aware of 2,000 bits of information. Question is well, why these 2,000 in this moment? How were they selected as what we should take note of and be aware of? And the fact of the matter is that we have unconscious biases built in from our past experience that determine what we know. We actually just assume stuff, and we assume we're separate. We assume we're limited. We assume that we're not creators. Right? Your thoughts and feelings aren't real. They occur as real, but they aren't real. Right? Different beliefs are expressed by different feelings. And emotions can convey a relationship with some form of separation. For example, like romantic love is a projection of our light side on another, assuming it does not exist within us. Concept of romantic love, believe it or not, like it's only been around and existed in our culture for only 800 years or roughly thereabouts. Maybe you didn't know that. Other examples are things like anger, which expresses powerlessness, depression, which is long-term powerlessness, frustration, which expresses a lack of control, emptiness, which is, not good enough, shame and guilt, which are worth-related, fear, which is a sense of separation from viability or safety, right? The reality that we have is not actually reality, right? There are as many versions of the truth as there are people on the planet. The truth meaning their perception of reality, right? The truth just meaning that their perception of reality, because the truth is what most people refer to when they say, this is true, this is true, this is true. It's actually their perception of reality, right? And it is their way of taking in and reproducing information about the world around them. And it's very tangible, very down to earth to understand why that is the case. It really comes down to our brain's capability to take in information. We basically make up everything. But, let's take a look at how we make up that internal representation of reality, because that's all it really is. So when we take a look at the structure of reality and how we perceive it, it's just way off in terms of all the information that's actually available. So let me I'll share my screen, my screen with you. I'll just share it, and we can have a look. Where is that gone? Whoa. What happened there? All right, here we are. So when you look at how we internalize information, right, and how we actually create the internal representation of what we call reality individually, right, this is what happens, right? This is what happens. So we basically just make everything up. All right, so there's so much info out there, and the truth is the brain just doesn't have the capacity to take in all the information that is available through the external events that we are experiencing. So the brain needs to distort, generalize, and delete information And that's just human nature and our machinery. And there's no way around this, right? There's no way around this. And we, however, we have already learnt and are learning a powerful way to consciously and in a very focused way. Angelina, you're gonna have to go on mute and stop that video. Gotcha. However, we've already learned, and we're learning like a powerful way to consciously and in a very, very focused way to shift that. Right? We will distort, generalize, and delete information based on what we have already established through our past experiences. That is from our different memories, starting with values and beliefs, right? Right, this is massive. So imagine going through life operating from a belief based upon I'm not good enough, right? How they would see and experience the world, or I'm not worthy, or not perfect, or don't belong. Just think about that, right? What information are they actually taking in when someone reaches out to them and says, wow, that was awesome, you've done so well? What happens to the info? Will they just purely take it in? Right? Probably not. Probably not. And what they're not taking in is not actually, right? It's not what's actually happened. So observing the information and just looking at the facts. There were two people, and one person said that the one was awesome, you did so well. The person speaking wanted to let the other person know what they thought. And the person coming from the belief of not being good enough will distort, delete the information and not take in the purity of what was being shared. Or how do you see that? Right? When you relate to this diagram, can you see that? How if you're operating from a certain belief, you will not take in all the available information. Right? We can all be observing the same thing and getting a completely different experience based upon our own beliefs, values, and past experiences. You notice, how often you or people when explaining a new experience, try to relate to it from a past experience. Who's ever experienced that? Right, you're trying to explain something completely new, right? And whoever you're speaking with, they say things like, oh, it's kind of like this, isn't it? Or it's kind of like that. Or it sounds similar to when I did this. Have you noticed how often people do this? Right, and when they do, or you do this, we miss the actual information in its purity and distort it into something else. Right, external events and information is present, and then we need to filter that. We need to filter that through 3.6 billion bits of info every second. Like, it's astronomical, and we need to make sense of that. As this comes in, we distort and generalize, right? We distort and generalize it. And if there's nothing new to learn about something, we become familiar to it and we just ignore it, right? So the first time you experience something, there's a lot to learn, right? When you first experience something, there's so much to learn. So you can't really ignore it because it's new. You can't generalize it or change or distort it because it's new. However, as we become older, we are around less and less new things. Right? And it's one of the reasons we experience, as we age, we experience the feeling like things are speeding up, because we get so familiar with all the same things that we're doing. And if we're not experiencing new things, right, we just ignore the stuff that's always there. So things seem to speed up, which is fascinating, right? Fascinating. So it's important to understand that most of the time, right, we've got to understand here how we are just recreating old patterns in the present moment. And it's very important, right? And it really is important, because say in ancient times, if you heard a new sound, so important. Like imagine having to learn if something dangerous was there, like you had to learn what the sound of a lion is, right? Imagine having to learn that over and over again. So if we didn't do this every time, right, we walked out to cross the road, we would have to learn how to cross the road again. You'll learn how to cross it again, and what a vehicle was, right? You have to generalize, right? And the reason why you can drive new roads is because we have memories of similar roads that we've driven before. You delete the background noise of a fridge is another example. See, to be in intuition, you have to stop generalizing and witness the world brand new again and notice what's actually there. The reality you walk around in is completely distorted. Now, if you've got trauma or an unwanted past experience, you see and filter the world with your old learnings and applying it in real time. And it's very rare that we're just witnessing reality actually as it is. Right, but we can't stay there in innocence, right, all the time, and otherwise we'd have to relearn everything, right? So when I play golf, I don't see where the ball flies exactly. I make it up from its trajectory. So we distort, generalize, and delete, and we do this from our memories. Right, another great example is like different views of a car crash. Right, if we were all out on the street together and we saw a car accident and no one got hurt, we would all have a slightly different view on it. And another good example is when someone's selling something to you. We all have different views. Some might feel pressured. Others might go, awesome, I want more information. Or some might go, oh, they're trying to scam me. See, decisions are made in the past, right? Decisions made in the past will distort your reality now. You decide, right? You decide you are this type of person or that way of being. Decisions, values, attitudes, and beliefs are distorting information, right? They're distorting our reality more than anything, right? Our decisions, our values, our attitudes, and beliefs distort our reality more than anything, like completely distorting it. And this is really, really potent information you must understand. People are not seeing reality as it is, right? They're only seeing it through a filter. In fact, we all take these external events, we change them in our mind and create an internal representation. In fact, I'll go even further. You're not even seeing me, right? You're not seeing me up in the corner there, right? I'll stop sharing. You're not even seeing me, right? Your eyes are reflecting the light into your own consciousness and seeing the picture that is made inside of there. You're hearing the words coming outside of my mouth and turning that into your internal representation. And you're also adding how you feel as you are going through and experience this. Not to mention, there's a time delay as well. Some of you might be feeling boredom. Some of you might be going, Mick, I've heard this before. Others might be going, wow, this is new information. This is amazing. Others might be going, he's completely lost me. I don't even follow this. But what's true is there's just one me doing the one thing that every one of you is creating, right? Creating unique internal representations, right? Which creates a different state of being and thoughts and feelings and beliefs, which creates a different physiology, which is epigenetics, which changes which proteins go where and get made for different pathways in your body, which creates a different behavior. So if I ask you all to tell me about the problem structure, you will all have a different response. So we're all in the same external reality, but we're creating our own experience. And this means we can create whatever we want, right? Which is just great. Either in favor or in conflict with what we desire. Right? We all live in a different reality, so we all create different behaviors. So it's really, really interesting, right? Really, really interesting.